Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call this regular council meeting to order. If you would all rise for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Council Member Dodd. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Hill.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kitchen.
Here.
Councilmember Dodd.
Here.
Councilmember Iovino.
Here.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Council. At this time, we have the second public hearing of the Community Development Block Grant. I will open the public hearing. Mr. Stokes.
A resolution of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, approving the Community Development Block Grant 2019 to 2024 5-year consolidated plan, 2019 annual action plan, and an application for CDBG funding for fiscal year 2019, SF 424, and authorizing the city manager to execute and transmit all documents to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, providing for conflict, providing for scrivener's error, providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you. At this time, the consultant will provide a presentation.
Thank you. Good afternoon, councils and mayor and citizens. I'm Corbett Allday with Guardian Community Resources once again to help you through this process. We have a short presentation with a summary of the CDBG Consolidated and Action Plan. Again, as a recap, this is a community development block grant program, and the block grant is designed to benefit low and moderate income persons, either as by census area or by income survey, house to house. And just as a refresher, there is the income limits right now for what HUD defines as low and moderate income. So for a family of 4, it's $52,000. We've gone through the public participation process. We had a first public hearing. We took input, and then we had a draft, a plan put together and advertised for comment for 30 days. And today is our second and final public hearing for approval of the plan. Just a summary to give you an idea of the eligible areas based on the HUD mapping tools. These are HUD census tools that we use to determine what areas are at least 50% low and moderate, or greater than 50% low and moderate income by census. This area right adjoining Maine is one area. This is another area just south of that. This area here along the coast, along the river, is one area that's 51% LMI or greater. This area, which takes in a very little bit of the city limits, is also 51% LMI. And then the final area is down in south. And all of these areas by census are 50 point something or 51% LMI or greater. And these are all areas where we could do, for example, stormwater retrofits, okay? Neighborhood sidewalks, streets, and so on. Any questions about that? Okay.
No.
The CDBG Consolidated Plan Summary, based on public input and the first hearing and comments during the plan review, we focused on housing, promoting housing in the Consolidated Plan through housing rehabilitation, and the priority is on seniors, veterans, and the elderly. We also had a focus on public facilities. Crosswalks, trails, and sidewalks was important, as well as all-inclusive playgrounds, and then acquisition if needed for those improvements. And then the crime prevention through environmental design was also added as a result of the public hearing. And then finally, we have infrastructure improvements, high priority on stormwater runoff drainage, street improvements, and then the U.S. Gateway parking improvements. In the first-year action plan proposed to follow up through those goals, the total amount of $123,674 is divided amongst sidewalks, repairs, and replacements, $50,000, and then $50,000 for home repair program, veterans, elderly, and disabled, and the rest for grant administration. Public facilities, just to give a little bit more of a detail on that, that's going to be North Central Avenue sidewalks, repair, replacement to an ADA sidewalk, so there'll be benefit to, there'll be removal of slum and blight in the CRA, but there'll also be benefit to low and moderate incomes through the disabled and elderly having access. Outcomes would be, elimination of slum and blight. The home repair program is for, again, focused on the veterans, elderly, and the disabled. It would be a rehab program for code, safety, health, or ADA improvements if they're needed, and there would be an open application process for citizens after the program is funded. We would benefit we estimate 2 LMI households to be addressed. And that's the summary that I have for you, and I'm here for your questions.
All right, thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions at this time? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. At this time, does anyone from the public wish to comment on this community development block grant? Okay, hearing none. Staff, Mr. Carlo, do you have summation for us?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this is funds, it's an entitlement fund that we are entitled to get and to spend in low to moderate income for the last few years because our consolidated plan wasn't up to date. We were not able to facilitate those plans. Ms. Frazier has got this put back on track, and so this funding will come to us now, and we'll be able to do these projects as outlined in this plan. We'd ask City Council to accept the consolidated plan and have us. Go ahead. Ms. Frazier has a comment.
I'm sorry. There's one verbal comment that was made in the comment period, and I really believe we need to address it. And the one came from one of our veterans organization volunteers who's here this evening, Mr. Barney Gordon, and he was requesting that we perhaps expand the housing allocation of dollars for vets to incorporate their organizations also, such as the VFW, the American Legion Hall, improvements to those. I am not sure that they actually meet the HUD requirements. However, that was our one comment, and so I request that the council discuss that, and the consultant is here to answer, to give his opinion as far as what the HUD requirements are.
Okay, I think we should get that answer on the HUD requirements first. Sir, could you come forward? No, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. You'll come up in just a second. All right. Nope, not yet. Yes, sir. Understood.
Without knowing details, I would say probably not. Your youth organizations, your veterans organizations, if it's a nonprofit registered program, they can be an applicant to the city, and the city could have an application process. But you'd need again, going back to you need an asset to invest in. You need something. You're either paying for a position, for example, or you're paying for improvements like security improvements at a women's shelter. Okay, you see my point? So you need something like that.
Okay. Now, sir, please come forward. I will assume the comments came from you, sir.
Sir, is this just Mike here, or?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Can you hear me? Everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Well, first, I want to thank you, the council, for...
Sir, for the record, I apologize for interrupting you. A name and
My
where you
name
live.
is Bonnie Jordan. I am a officer and member of the American Legion and the VFW post here in Sebastian. I'm a representative with the Veterans Council of Indian River on it, and I'm involved in several other organizations, and I formerly was with a volunteer for the Sebastian Police Department.
Great.
I'd like to give you a little background first so that you'll understand why I'm coming from where I am. And there's two purposes I'd like to present to you. But first, let me say that the VFW post in Sebastian, which is the only VFW post in the county, is right on All-American Post. That is a high honor. And so that post is doing well. The American Legion post this year of the 12th district is high in almost number 1 or 2 in representations and other events in the district, and the district is number 1 in the nation on it. So we can be proud of the veteran representatives we have here in Indian River County. The Veterans Council, as a membership, consists of approximately 25 veteran organizations throughout the county, and the 45-plus associate members, which include many of the organizations that help veterans, and also the Sheriff's Department and other organizations. And they've been very, very active, and Mr. Posey's office sends his representative down all the time whenever we have our meetings on it. And they are recognized as they're one of the number 1 councils throughout the state of Florida on it. Now, two things that I'd like to present to you all. Number 1 is, in your veterans program, the Veterans Council is willing to help in any way that he can coordinate and cooperate with the city of Sebastian. They already have set up 2 veteran committees. One of the committees is to help those who are unable to help themselves, as the ones out in the, you know about on it, and this is income, lower income. And they have a second income, which is a grant of, I believe it's $100,000, which they help veterans regardless of their income. There is some qualifications involved, but if he's a veteran and his situation is one that they can help him with, they will fund that on it. So with that in mind, I just wanted to say that as a representative for the Veterans Council, that we are willing in any way that we can cooperate with. I live here in Sebastian, and any way we can cooperate with Sebastian. Now, the one thing that was discussed, we were talking about corporate help on the veterans. Specifically, what I would like to present is corporate veteran organizations help in building situations. I know the city is working on the different building options around the city, and the grant helps with that. And the 2 veteran organizations here in Sebastian are not looking for help on income otherwise. It's just that some of the things that come up as hits their income pretty hard because they are a nonprofit organization, and so we'd like that to be considered as a part of the grant with veterans. And also, finally, anything that I can do to assist you in cooperating and coordinating your veteran affairs, I'd be glad to. I have quite a bit of experience in that particular area. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you so much for your service and all you do for our community. Mr. Carlisle, do you want to expand a little bit on?
Yeah, so we have allocated $50,000 for housing rehabilitation for veterans, for disabled and such. So there is funds, they're allocated in the plan, and we have to adhere to the plan according to my understanding of this plan. So there's $50,000, and we welcome input from the Veterans Administration and the Veterans Council of Indian River County to help us locate and get the applicants there once this money is received to make that happen. And we can do barrier-free, we can do other things, but they do have to be low to moderate income.
Right, and so if there's someone that would be a good applicant for that that goes to the veterans organization and presents them with a problem, the organization can then send them to the city and say there's a process you can go through with the city to help you get some funds for that.
Yeah, the application really needs to be at the city, right? The city application, but we welcome if they go to the veterans and the veterans can vet that, go through it and make sure that it qualifies before they send them to us. That would be a great help, so that they don't come down here, do the application, and they don't meet the qualifications. Sure. But we're more than willing to work with any of the veterans or any of the disabled that need help, and that's what this money is set aside for. So we're ready, willing, and able, and we'll take all the help we can get.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing on this. Council, do you have any discussion on this or anything more for staff? Any questions, comments? All right, what's your pleasure on?
I move for approval.
Second.
Any further discussion by council? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Iovino?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And we thank you very much, everyone involved in this. We look forward to this process going forward. Glad to see this grants rolling back into the city of Sebastian. Those monies are going to be very important for the people who are in need and to get some of those sidewalks fixed and certainly to help some of our veteran organizations out. So thank you all. Agenda modifications, council, I'd ask that we can add to the agenda under unfinished business. Yes. Item A, under unfinished business, title City of Sebastian Fire Marshal Interlocal Agreement with Indian River County. Do we need to have a roll call for that?
No.
I'm asking this clerk because there were some questions on this at one point as to us adding something, so. All right, so I'll go ahead and make a motion that we add this agenda item.
Second?
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Iovino?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That'll be item new business A. All right. I'm sorry, unfinished business 10A. Thank you. Item 7A, presentation by Indian River Lagoon, or Indian River County Commissioner Tim Zork, supporting, he's got support for using Bethel Creek as a location. Mr. Zork.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Mayor Hill and members of the council. Now it's pretty much dried up outside. I could go bring in my boards that I was going to, but I didn't want to get all wet and all wrinkly. So just a little bit of short history. Most of you know where Bethel Creek is in the Indian River County area. It's north side of the city limits of Vero Beach, right there by J.C. Park. For many years, I've been talking to the community and had a lot of great positive feedback of how can we look at restoring some flushing connection, not an inlet, but some type of mechanical pipe connection, similar to what the city of Destin has used for many years up in the Panhandle with great success. Always tremendous support, but always gets back to how do you have the money to study it. So fortunately, Representative Altman, who used to be the senator for this area, he had put in this year's appropriations budget an $800,000 funding amount to FIT to actually study a flushing project. It wasn't specific to where the project is. So what I have been doing the last 6 weeks or so since it stayed in the governor's budget is going around and just getting letters of support that we are then forwarding on to FIT and to Representative Mayfield, Senator Mayfield, Representative Grahl, Representative Altman, to when they decide to, and it will be within this year, they have to use the money in this fiscal cycle, to at least have Bethel Creek as a site of consideration. If they're not a site of consideration, I think we all still need to be at the table, because if they decide to, at the north end of the lagoon, north of the Sebastian Inlet mini miles, if they pump in billions and billions of gallons of water, it's going to change the flow rate of the Sebastian River. It's going to change the flow rate of the Indian River Lagoon to the south. So whether we're selected as the site, we still need to be very active and diligent to make sure when they look at the hydrology of the lagoon and the Sebastian Inlet, how all that works. We want to make sure that there's no harm unintentionally done to any of the other current flows. And I'm sure FIT has a way of figuring all that out. They're the masters at technology and engineering. So what I'm asking the council here to consider tonight is just doing a letter of support. I'm not sure if you had one in your packet. We have City of Vero Beach, Town of Indian River Shores. The Town of Orchid is my last stop on this. If the council would consider doing a similar letter of support if you have a draft of some of the other ones that have been issued. And I can do my best to answer questions, not really on the technical side of it. That would be up to FIT. But I think it's something that could make some benefit improvement to that area. And I think I'd like it to have a fair shot to be looked at.
Yeah, I would first of all say that that'd be a great place to have the actual pipe put in place, because it's basically almost equidistant between Fort Pierce and the Sebastian Inlet. So that would be
exactly
right. So that'd be a wonderful place to have it. And your request is just for us to offer our support for the study.
Correct. Yes.
In the area, and I would fully support this.
No financial commitment at all. Just a letter of support.
This would be great for us. I think it would be great for our community if we could get that done. The city of Sebastian included. I think it'd be a great application
We
for
don't
it.
have any sample letters, though, so if you could email one to the city manager,
I'll make sure that you have one, yes.
and we'll get it out for you.
Do we have one for tonight?
Oh, we do? Okay.
Yeah, I'll have, if council approves, I'll have that signed before
Okay.
the end of the night.
It's kind of very generic. And also just a little historical fact, in 1915, there was actually a group called the Bethel Creek Inlet Committee that actually applied to the Army Corps of Engineers, and with the outbreak of World War I, that application kind of didn't go very far. But,
Still pending?
yeah, still pending. We know that the Army Corps is slow. But, you know, it has the history, it's got that magical distance between the two inlets. To me, it's the ideal spot, but maybe I'm a little bit blindsided by local, you know, history. But I did spend the weekend up at the northern end of the lagoon, up by Banana River and up by the Cape. And they clearly need to do something as well. But I like to have them keep us in consideration.
Yeah, great. I would fully support it, Councilman, with,
If we need a motion, I'll make a motion that we direct the city council to write the letter of support.
yeah, the
Or
city clerk.
I mean, the city manager to
clerk,
write
she
the
has
letter
it ready.
of support. Yeah.
So, great. I'll second that. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. So I'll.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Take care of that. Thank you very much. It's good to work city and county together on stuff like that, isn't it? Thank you, Mr. Zork. And now we will move to item 7B, a presentation by Garrett Group.
Good evening, Council. My name is Mark Rodriguez. I'm a senior analyst with the Gehring Group. I'm just going to give you a brief presentation just to give you some background information on the consent agenda item that is up for approval tonight regarding your employee benefits. Okay, so in this presentation, we'll do a brief overview of your current benefit program, also a brief industry overview of the insurance industry overall. We'll go through the renewal process for the coming plan year that we just went through, and also provide our recommendation of renewal and leave room for any questions that you may have. So your current benefit program consists of a high deductible health plan. You transitioned from United Healthcare to Florida Blue back in October of 2017. That was as the result of an RFP that was issued that year. With your high deductible health plan, you have an employee-only deductible of about $1,500, family deductible of $3,000, $4,500 an employee-only out-of-pocket maximum cost, $9,000 for family out-of-pocket maximum cost. The city also funds a health reimbursement account, $2,500 for employee-only, $5,000 for family. That helps to defray some of the costs associated with covering the deductible and the out-of-pocket expenses for your employees. Dental and vision insurance were transitioned from United Healthcare to Humana, also in that same year as a result of the RFP. And life, long-term disability, and the EAP program are currently with Lincoln Financial Group. So as far as the insurance industry, brief overview. The Cadillac tax was delayed until the year 2022. There's legislation being introduced to get rid of it altogether so that it won't come back in after 2022. Some of the fees associated with the Affordable Care Act have also either been eliminated or delayed. For example, transitional reinsurance fee was eliminated. The PCORI fee was also, it's not going to be assessed for plans ending on or after October 1st, 2019, okay? And then the health insurer fee has been delayed for the 2019 calendar year. It's scheduled to return in 2020, but legislation has been introduced to further suspend that as well. For the 2019 plan year, medical inflation is at a 6 to 8% increase typically, and prescription inflation costs are about at 11 to 12% range. So getting to the renewal process that we just completed for the coming plan year, as far as your medical insurance, Florida Blue originally proposed a 5.6% increase to your medical plan. Working with your staff, we were able to negotiate that down to a 3% increase with no changes to your plan. Dental insurance came out originally at an 11.6% increase for the base dental plan and an 8.9% increase on the buy-up dental plan. We were able to negotiate that down to an 8% increase across both plans with no changes to the benefits. And vision insurance came out originally at a 6.1% increase, and we negotiated that down to a 5% increase. Life LTD and EAP are in rate guarantee until 2020, so no changes in rates or benefits with those. So our recommendation is, as far as your medical plan, that you accept Florida Blue's renewal at the 3% overall increase. Those rates are guaranteed for 12 months. We recommend no change to your current funding of the health reimbursement account. We recommend that you accept Humana's dental renewal at 8% overall increase. That's also guaranteed for 12 months. We also recommend that you accept Humana's vision renewal. It says no increase here, but as I just mentioned on the slide before, it's actually a 5% increase, and you'll also see that on the exhibit that's associated with the consent agenda item. It's a 5% increase. That's guaranteed for 12 months as well. Overall, this means a 2.5% increase to the city's cost and a 3.4% increase to the city's employees. And that is all I have for my presentation, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, Council. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
What you say 3.4% increase to the employees, but what's that equate to on average per employee as far as the physical increase that they're paying every month?
So 3.4% in total for all employees, it's $8,800 approximately, $8,847 in total for all employees.
For all the employees? Okay,
Yes.
great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you.
Does anyone have brief announcements this evening? All right, hearing none, that moves us to item 8, consent agenda.
I'd like to remove item C and D, please.
What item? I missed that one.
C and D.
Thank you.
And then I'll move approval of A, B, and E.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Is that acceptable with that dental plan, or do we need a roll call?
We're going to vote on that there. I mean, that's,
So item B is the do we need a roll call on that?
Will you choose? I don't know.
Motion?
If it's monetary.
All right, we're good. Item C, Mr. Dodd.
okay, actually, I could do C and D together because they're the same thing, but I don't have any issues with C and D. I just want to make sure that everybody has seen or has an opportunity to look at the public service announcement that's on YouTube by the Sebastian Police Department. I think it's a very informative breakdown of what you can expect. The one nice thing about it for the parents of students in the schools in Sebastian is that the school resource officers are also on this tape, and you can actually see the resource officer from the school your children are in, and you kind of get a feel for who they are. Sometimes that's probably difficult to do if you go to the school and see them. They do a lot more than just the safety issues for the students. It's a great program, not just for the safety side of it, but also just for the exposure side and officers working with the students. So I just wanted to kind of put a plug in for that, and if you haven't seen it, take a look at it. Okay,
Great.
so given that, I move approval for item C and D.
Second.
A motion and a second on items 8, C, and D. All those in favor signify by saying, actually, we're going to go roll call on this one.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Iovino?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 9, committee reports and appointments. Does anyone have anything on their committees?
Yeah, I
Yes,
guess
sir.
I need to. Okay, the MPO met yesterday, and as most of you know, or I think you all know, there was it was a special MPO meeting called specifically to discuss the annexation of the Graves Brothers property into Sebastian, and it was an interesting meeting, to say the least. And we heard a lot of issues related to that annexation. I'm still not personally 100% comfortable that I know exactly what anybody wants us to do except not annex it. But I don't know if any of you have heard any remarks or heard anything about the meeting. I think that there's a lot of animosity coming from a lot of different areas related to this annexation. You've all, I'm sure, seen the emails and letters we've received threatening litigation and so forth on that. So I don't know if Councilmember Partland, who was there, has any different things he might want to bring up, or?
I think it seems everybody wants an annexation agreement, but a lot of everything is already established in the ordinances that we have and the document that they've been going over with the staff. I mean, I don't know if maybe we want to slow down just a little bit. I'm not saying a long period of time, but maybe I think Mr. Carlisle wants to educate some of the other county commissioners one-on-one, because it seems there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah, I think that's the gist of it, is I'm not sure that a lot of people who are commenting on this, either in writing or on especially on social media, have ever looked at any of the documents that we've got there.
Yeah.
The social media comments are worse than anything right now, but it is an election year. Well, they're all election years.
Right.
So, okay, so that was that's my, if anyone has any questions, I can try to summarize more if you want to. I just want to make sure everybody had an opportunity to know that we had the meeting and that we did attend it and we had the conversation, so.
I definitely would like to see us get a hold of that improvement district, though,
Right.
that they spoke about.
Mm-hmm. Now, it does seem like there were some very valid points brought up by all sides. However, that's part of the process that we're going through. So to be clear with everyone, the city of Sebastian has been working with all parties involved in this from the get, including Indian River County. So we've had correspondence with representatives from the county from the get-go on this whole thing. And it's interesting, I find it very interesting how, you know, I've heard from every single organization that they're not opposed to the annexation. And it's funny, but they clearly are opposed to the annexation because the goalpost likes to continue to move. We're not opposed to the annexation. We would just like you to do this. Well, ultimately, what they would like us to do is to not annex it. So that's, you're never going to get to where they all say, oh, we agree with this, go forward. That's never going to happen. The fact of the matter is we as representatives of the city of Sebastian have to make sure that we protect the city of Sebastian and the citizens of the Sebastian and the city's future. And that's what we have to do. We cannot rely on outside agencies to protect us. Our job is to do that, and if you look at the history of growth and development in the North County, clearly we cannot rely on outside agencies to protect us. It goes, and I'm not going to get into a big in favor of or opposed to, but I can tell you that the expansion of the city of Fellsmere from 1999 to 2014 is tremendous. Fellsmere is now, I believe, larger than all of the other cities in Indian River County combined. And that's right here, that's us, that's affecting us, and it's right at our border. We cannot close our eyes to the development that Indian River County has placed right at our border without making one single phone call to the citizens of Sebastian, while clustering densities from outside of this area into this area outside their urban service boundary, which is so scary for everyone. Oh, it's outside the urban service boundary, so we can't do it unless we're the county, and we're going to take densities from other areas of the county, and we're going to place it up there. And we're going to put 1,000 new homes, 3,000 to 5,000 new people right at your border, while you'll get no benefits of the development, yet you'll feel all of the impacts on your roads and your stores and your parks. And so it's imperative that this council does everything we can to protect our future and the future of our community. This is a wonderful city, and that's one of the things I hear on a continual basis. Sebastian is a beautiful, lovely place. I don't want it to change, but when I moved here, there were 6,000 people. Now there are maybe 26,000 people, and there's going to be a lot more, and there's going to be a lot more in our area. So it's imperative that we grow in a way that protects Sebastian. Now, we've done that really well over the last several decades. That's why it's such a great place to live.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that the representatives of Sebastian are in control over as much of the growth and development that we can have, that's going to impact our parks and our schools and our stores and our boat ramps and all of those things that this growth and development is going to impact. So I find it interesting that there's a lot of, feather fluffing going on down at the county and on the dais of the county commission, and it's often funny to me that these people sometimes don't remember that they also represent the citizens of Sebastian. So with that, I'm comfortable that staff is doing what it should be doing in working with county staff and working with the other organizations to come up with what is the best solution for this property and to protect the future for the citizens of Sebastian. So thank you guys for doing a good job yesterday. I heard you guys represented the city very well. I appreciate that. And you really held it together because you probably could have blown your top a couple of times. But
it was sometimes difficult to remain.
Well, you did a good job, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of the representation that we had. And I'm very comfortable going forward that staff will continue to look at all of these issues and make sure that we're protected, but everyone involved that's going to be impacted by this is protected as well. Thank you. Any more comments on that?
Nope.
Okay. So let's just adjourn the meeting then. There is item 10, a new item that we have on the agenda, the interlocal agreement between us and the county. Mr. Carlisle.
Mr. Mayor, member of council, as you remember, the county enacted a 164 dispute resolution with the city regarding our decision to do fire marshal service within the city of Sebastian, performing those duties with our own staff. On March 5th, the county commission tabled the 164 to stop the dispute resolution. City council authorized the city attorney and myself to negotiate with the county administrator and the county attorney an interlocal agreement that would allow us to continue to forge that path and allow that to move forward. I think the attorneys and myself and the county administrator have worked out a very amicable resolution to this, an interlocal agreement. I will let you know that the county commission has approved this at their meeting today, and we would like you to consider approving this and moving this project forward and putting those issues behind us.
All right, thank you. Just one question for Mr. Stokes. This is good.
Yes, absolutely. I was involved, Mr. Carlisle and I met with the county together. I've been back and forth with the county attorney, and this is in very good shape for us.
All right, thank you. With that being said, I'll move approval of item 10A.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on the interlocal agreement between Sebastian and the county on the fire marshal issue? All right, seeing none, any discussion by council? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you for that. At this time, anyone from the public who wishes to speak on any item that's not currently on the agenda is welcome to speak. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Yes, sir. Now, please state your name and where you live when you come up. Come up to the mic.
Thank you, Kai. My name is James Bacon. I'm a resident of Sebastian for 4 years now. I have a situation with a neighbor. I understand we have an ordinance with the grass cutting. That's got to be nice and looking well and not overgrown. If it grows 8 inches, look out, they're going to come and talk to you. My neighbor has a rental property next door to me. I have talked to him 3 or 4 different occasions. Like, help me out, trim these trees. They're growing over, they're coming over, they're just about touching my roof. He says, I'm not doing it. He's telling me to do it. We're talking like 100 foot up. I mean, I can't do this. I'm 70 years old. I have a heart condition. I'm not qualified to do that. And, you know, he just absolutely refuses. And my problem is, you know, if we have a storm or something happens, these things are going to come over and crash into my house. Everybody's going to say, oh, it's an act of God. Sorry, we can't do anything. But I would like to see the grass ordinance, and I would like to add the trees to that too. I mean, they have to show some kind of consideration, you know, for this. I mean, you're talking about cutting the grass. Well, the trees are the most important issue right here. I mean, I have trimmed them out before what was on my property, and once again, like I say, I have approached him and talked to him respectfully, and he just won't do anything at all. He says, he's telling me do it. I said, Steve, I can't do it. Number one, it's not my responsibility. Number two, I don't have equipment to do it. And I just, don't know what else to do. I had called and talked to representatives here, and they say there's no ordinance governing the trees. The trees can grow as big as they want, and nobody has to do anything. Nobody has to maintain them. Nobody has to take care of them. I mean, I don't want to wait until somebody, gets crushed with a tree. That's not the answer. I mean, all I'm saying is, I would like to see this added onto the ordinance with the grass. Hey, you got to trim your trees. You got to maintain them. You got to take care of it. He's got rental property. The gutters in the house all the way around are filled with dirt and flowers, and everything's growing out of it.
Right.
So I thank you kindly for allowing me to speak out and, hopefully get some kind of resolution to this.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming this evening.
Thank you kindly.
And we do hear you. We do hear you. Thank you. So Mr. Carlisle, and I'm going to be very brief on this because we're not going to get into much of a discussion on all of these items, but Mr. Carlisle, we have ordinances in place, and we've gone over this many times in the past on what the city of Sebastian can do relative to this. The fact of the matter is the homeowner can trim the trees back, but it's got to be him that does it. The neighbor is not required to trim trees off someone else's property.
So nuisance ordinances are different from tree canopy ordinances. We have a tree protection ordinance and heritage tree ordinances, and those are in place. What happens, and I'll let the attorney go into more detail if you need to, the ordinance, it's a civil issue between the two property owners if your tree overhangs their property. Unless it's a non-native vegetation such as Brazilian pepper, our ordinance covers nuisance vegetation. Nuisance overgrowth, which harbors rats and things of that nature, is the reason that nuisance ordinance is in place. It's not just to make it look pretty, it's to save, the harbage of pests that get into other properties. When you have vacant lots, we require them to maintain them back off the property line with a nuisance vegetation. But the historic oaks and those types of trees, we don't want them just trimmed and whacked back. But it is the property owner has the right to trim it up from their property line up, and the property owner has a civil recourse to the courts if they feel the property overcroaching into them would damage their property and have concern of that, then there's a civil remedy for that as well. But I'll let the attorney talk about legal issues.
Well, I would, what Mr. Carlisle said is all accurate. I'd be, cautious about going into any more detail about, individual rights, because obviously, as the city attorney, I don't, give legal advice to citizens. But yes, I mean, it's, this would be something that unfortunately we sometimes have to deal with our neighbors. So.
Yeah, we had talked at length. There are potentially some organizations who could help individual citizens out who can't necessarily cut those trees back, like a Boy Scouts troop or some other organizations where you could possibly get some people to volunteer to help you out with some of those issues. But as it is, the city of Sebastian, as it is right now, there's really no recourse. So you have the right to trim your tree, or you have the right to trim his tree straight up off your property as high as you want, and it's unfortunate that sometimes we have bad neighbors, and so if your neighbor's unwilling to work with you, then I would suggest hiring someone to do it, or possibly getting, if finances are an issue, then probably try to get maybe an organization like a Boy Scouts troop or something like that to maybe give you a hand with that. So, anyone else from the public wish to speak this evening? Yes, sir.
Yes, good evening. Dr. Robert Betta, 119 Crawford Drive in Sebastian. And I would like to alert the council on the fact that both yesterday, Monday, August 12th, and today, Tuesday, August 13th, I saw the Tropical Landscape Company applying what very much appeared to be fertilizer to a big grassy patch in front of the piers, which is directly in front of the water park. And then that was yesterday. And then today I saw them apply what looked to be the same chemical on the Riverview Park grounds. And as you may know, as part of the Sustainable Sebastian program, the months between June and September we're on alert not to be using too much fertilizer, because this adds to the eutrophication the flooding of added nutrients into our waterways, which encourages algae blooms. So I know they're acting as a contractor for the city, but I think we have to watch them and monitor what they're doing, because if they're fertilizing big areas during these heavy rains, that gets flushed right into the lagoon very quickly.
I agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
Here he comes.
Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Damian Gilliam, 1623 US Highway 1. I would like to let the community know that I was at the MPO meeting yesterday. I had a chance to witness exactly what transpired, and I'd like to share with the community what I heard, what I saw, in reference to the conflicts of interest with the county commission, and along with this council, and with numerous groups and organizations of this community. First and foremost, we are not ready for any type of annexation, period. We are in over our heads. Mrs. Adams, Susan Adams, made it very clear. Where is your annexation agreement? There is none. When you do a major annexation like this, it's imperative that you spell everything out, everything that the developer is going to give us as a community, and how we're going to make this a smooth transition. Nobody's against annexation. What we're against is hearing us out, moving through the community with this developer, making presentations, and giving us a seat at the table. They talked about transportation. They talked about right-of-ways. They talked about environmental issues. There was numerous issues, and I have a whole list here, but I'm not going to be able to go through it in 5 minutes. But what I can tell you, there is a meeting Wednesday at the library with the Water Coalition, Friends of the Sebastian River, Sebastian Property Owners Association. We are getting together to tell our representatives, you gentlemen and ladies, stop what you're doing. You work for us. We are your master. You must follow our direction. You're in over your head. You have no city engineer to advise you. You need an attorney who specializes in land development, who can look out for our interest. When you have county commissioners telling you to please, you're rushing this through. You're not thinking it through. Hear them out. They've got experience. Felsmere has experience. I heard the mayor speak, but they're looking out for their interests. But they had a good land development attorney representing them, Mr. Dill. Okay? We are getting over our heads. We must take a time out. We must start meeting with these organizations and hear them out and hear their concerns. We have every right to have a seat at the table. This is going to affect our community on the waterfront. There's going to be a major impact on our boat ramps. Is this developer going to go ahead and purchase property along Indian River Drive to provide parking for all these boats and trailers and additional residents that are coming into our home? They spoke about commercial property that you guys do not meet in your comp plan, and that's why you're doing it. Your comp plan is insufficient. It does not have enough commercial. We understand that. But 5 million square feet in addition of commercial on 510, that they're trying to figure out right-of-ways, that they're trying to determine value, agricultural. If you go ahead and you do your annexation and you start doing a zoning change, is the property value going to go up in value? And do they have to make additional purchases because the value went up because you didn't take the time to think it through? Because somebody's got to buy that right-of-way. There are ponds that are sitting in the right-of-way that FDOT has concerns about. If you could not understand what transpired yesterday at that meeting, and you proceed with this, you are liable to this community. You are proceeding collectively to this community, and we're telling you as organizations throughout this town, stop what you're doing, hear us out, or you will hear us out come November. And we're serious. This affects our quality of life. It affects everybody in this community. There will be a planning and zoning meeting. We're doing a call to action Thursday. We will be here. We will be knocking on your door, and we will let you know how we feel. And you are our representatives, and you should be following our lead. And if you can't, well, then maybe you need another job, because it's a complicated issue. And if you're not going to take time to go through it and understand it and ask a lot of questions, which is what the county commission was asking you to do, then why proceed? Because it's easy to do it during the summer months when nobody's here.
Thank you, sir.
To stop you.
Thank you,
sir. God bless.
Anyone else in the public wish to speak on this, on anything they wish? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Andrea Ring. I am on the Budget Committee. I was not planning to speak tonight, but I want to comment about Graves' property because it's going to be developed. Whether we do it or have any revenue coming from it, or whether it's strictly county, we're still going to get all the negative part. We're going to get everybody parking down there, whether that is part of the city or Sebastian or not. I would like to see it become part of the city so we have a little more control over it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else in the public? All right, seeing none. Move to new business. We have none this evening. City Attorney matters, Mr. Stokes.
Nothing in addition, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Carlisle.
So some good news. The contractor is working on the pickleball courts. We need to get this rain to slack off, and just to let the residents know, we understand about the water issues, but we have had and experienced some excessive amounts of rain. Staff is working diligently to try to address the concerns, and we've received several. So just bear with us. Mother Nature's got to give us a little hand, but we're glad to see pickleball moving forward. So,
thank you very much. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Ms. Williams. All right, thank you. Vice Mayor Kinchin.
No, I don't have anything.
Councilmember Dodd.
No.
Councilmember Ivino. No. Councilmember McPartlin.
No, sir.
All right, very good. I will just end this evening by saying it's easy to be up in arms and be against things, to not have real information, and try to startle and scare the public. Excuse me, sir? No, sir. Oh, could you take care of this? You gotta go back. Sir, you need to go back downstairs. You have to go back. Go back downstairs.
Why?
Because this is a public meeting, so you need to go back downstairs. That's okay. Whoa. All right, so as I was saying, it's easy to be against things and not have a lot of information, and it's easy to beat a drum and really put out misinformation. The fact of the matter is that our job as city council members is not to worry about an election that's upcoming, but to make sure that we protect the citizens and the individuals of this community who we were elected to protect. So that being said, there is no further business, and we are adjourned.
That was scary.